I think it's safe to say that this was an incredibly interesting race. Loudenvielle as a venue has held a downhill World Cup like twice ever, last year and this year. Last year we had some inclement weather and it caused some issues during the event, with the junior finals getting cancelled due to safety concerns. This year we had time training cancelled on the first day of practice due to the track falling to bits. This was frustrating for racers, spectators, teams, organisers and honestly everyone involved who struggled with the chaos. Now, is this an issue with the track? The inconsistent weather in the area? The type of soil on the hill? The time of year that the race is happening? Or is it climate change? Maybe it's just bad luck, but honestly, with the speed we crank out these videos, I don't have the time to dive into the data and see if there's something that stands out. All I can tell you is that chaos certainly provides some exciting racing, and I'll leave you lot to debate the reasons in the comments. We kicked off the racing with the junior women and some absolutely stunning conditions. A dry, grippy track, sunshine, and some great competition. Early on, Scottish rider Heather Wilson absolutely sent her way down the hill. Honestly, she was just going too fast into a lot of the features and then just using her strength and skill to save things at the last moment. It was an exciting run and the risk paid off with a second place finish. Immediately after Heather, the current world champion Iris van Leuven dropped in, and the vibe was completely different. Iris looked super controlled and smooth with measured aggression. She was actually slower than Heather in a few spots, but the consistency of the run put her into the lead. It was then down to Sasha to deny Iris the win, and we know she goes well on this track after her win last year. Also, the track was running fast and dry, which suits her style. And there was some style and creative riding on her run. She was getting high on the grass, getting out of the ruts, missing the big holes, and really making the most of the track. She was fast up top with the fastest speed trap, but despite this, and the creative riding, she got a little too cautious in the lower sections of the track, losing time to Iris and Heather, which placed her in third place on the podium, with Heather Wilson in second place and Iris van Leuven winning the race and increasing her lead in the overall. The junior men put on one heck of a show out here in Loudenvielle. You couldn't look away from the screen without missing an insane line, or several massive crashes, and so many close calls. Remember, you can watch the junior racing for free on YouTube. The replay is up on the Whoop UCI Mountain Bike World Series YouTube channel, so go watch it. Luke Wayman, the Kiwi junior who rode for our preview run, absolutely lit things up early on in the race. He rode so strong and fast, with the holes that were stalling other riders and causing them to just crumple, just not phasing the man. He sat in the hot seat for quite a while and scored his second podium of the year in third place. Then, Asa Vermette dropped in. After a slower than normal qualifying, he was early on in the running and he lit up the green splits, posting times considerably faster than Wayman. He looked smooth, strong and on for another win when BAM! Massive crash. GoPro goes flying. It's all over in the blink of an eye. Honestly, he was lucky he didn't break a collarbone in this crash. If you go frame by frame, you can see that either his front wheel hits a hole which pushes his weight forward, or his back wheel hits something which also pushes his weight forward. And this weight shift causes an accidental turn of the bars. The front wheel catches the inside edge of the rut, which decelerates the bike even more, and then it's just game over. Good that he's not too badly injured, but the overall championship now looks like a big ask. Then, Tyler Waite absolutely sent it down that hill, and if you're wondering who this kid is, he's been absolutely lighting things up back home in New Zealand for the past few years. He dominated the national series, pulled some massive results during the Crankworks events, even embarrassing some of the elite pro riders, and then with the support of Yeti, he decided to give World Cups a go. First one didn't go very well, but the second event at World Champs certainly did, with a fourth place. Now, at his third world event, he almost bloomin' takes the win after a storming run that slots him into an excellent second place. There's more to come from this kid. Then, the female elites had the first bit of inclement weather, which we knew was coming, but we hoped wouldn't affect things. Fortunately, hopes and prayers don't really do much, and the wind, clouds and rain made their mark on the racing. Luckily for most, the weather only majorly affected the last rider. Phoebe Gale had her best race of the year with an incredibly smooth and consistent run, then absolutely lit up the lower section, taking the fastest final sector, which slotted her into third place on the day. Impressive riding from the young elite racer, and great to see her performing again. Valley Hall had the potential to win the overall today, and with that on her mind, she attacked the upper sections of the hill, reaching the highest top speed through the speed trap as a wasp attacks me. By split 3, she was the fastest rider on the hill and looking good. But maybe the nerves of messing up and the pressure of the overall started to get to her, and she started to tighten up and make some mistakes. 6th at the penultimate sector and then 8th in the final sector lost her time with some riders still to go. Miriam Nicole laid down an absolute stormer of a run. Smooth yet aggressive riding that we are used to seeing from a strong and confident pom-pom was on display with her going fastest in Sector 2 and Sector 4. I barely saw a mistake from her on the way to the finish line and the hot seat with only 2 riders to go. Then the rain started. Elise Empey was the first to report that there was rain during her run in the middle sections of the track after she just went way too fast into all the corners with the nervous energy of someone getting used to being one of the fastest riders. And that should settle over time. Then the proper rain started. I mean big chunky fat raindrops that have real weight behind them. The kind of rain that has you soaking wet before you've even had a chance to get a jacket on. The kind of rain that forms deep puddles and shines up a hard-packed track in seconds. Then Tanny dropped in. We all wondered if she could still make it happen despite the insurmountable challenge in front of her. And it started well with her going over half a second faster than Miriam in the first sector despite the conditions. But then it all unraveled in those tricky turns when the gradient turned steep, and with a little slip, the arms caved and the front fully washed out on Seagrave. With that, Miriam took the win and Valley finished in second, which secured her enough points to win the overall championship, with 1 round left to go. With all that decided, the rain just did not let up. It was absolutely hoofing it down all over the valley, and a few individuals began rubbing their hands together with a filthy smile on their faces like this. There were some great rides in the wet conditions, with Charlie Hatton first man down the hill in the heavy rain into a top 10 finish. Oshino Callaghan dead sailored his way into the finish for 6th place and the fastest bottom sector, which just shows nosedives are faster. Then Danny Hart showing he's not actually a wet rider anymore, and he crashed in the slop, but he still finished 12th despite the lie down. But then someone up there just made sense of everything and did the thing that Amory usually does and made the impossible look easy. It must be a French thing, as Benoit Coulange absolutely tore that hillside a new one while the heavens emptied its contents onto his head. Yes, the track does run faster when wet compared to the sticky conditions, but you cannot discount the challenge of vision when the rain is that heavy. Hard to say which was harder, but I think it was actually purely down to his brake cover on his front rotor, keeping that thing dry and consistent. There's not much data to go on that, but he was the only one with it, and he won, so clearly better. It wasn't long after Coulange before we saw more magic, with Reece Wilson putting the years of practice in the soggy Tweed Valley to use with some precise and creative riding. He was the fastest man through the techie middle split, and you could see it. High lines here, inside lines there, and one rowdy gap on the way to nearly winning the thing. Reece will be buzzing to get back on the podium after a laundry list of injuries that have kept him off the pace. Also, I hope he apologises to that poor marshal before the steep chute. He absolutely soaked the poor sod when he hit the low rut that was just full of water. The rain backed off for a while with a few sprinkles keeping things from getting too sticky. The next to make sense of it all was the big Austrian, Andy Kolb. He ran almost every awkward, difficult highline on the hill and made it look easy as he flowed his way down to another podium in 3rd place. After Kolb, we were treated to a good selection of crashes from Loris Vergier, Lachie McNabb, Thibaut Deprella, Finn Isles and Ronan Dunn. Ronan Dunn though, despite crashing, still finished in 5th place on the podium. He gets the award for being the fastest rider with a dirt nap. And by my maths, he wouldn't have won, but 2nd place was within his grasp. Then we had the battle of Amory and Loïc, which unfortunately turned out to be a damp squib, probably due to the rain. Amory ended up outside the rut on that tricky left, which, while not ideal in the dry, was near impossible in the wet. Wham, bam, thank you, Marie, is probably what Loïc said. Then, immediately after saying that, fastest qualifier, Bruni dropped into what was arguably a stickier and slower running track and proceeded to go fastest at the first two splits. Mouths were agape on the hot seat as Bruni collected sector scalps like they were Pokemon and he had to catch them all. Fastest at split 2 and fastest in sector 2. He was charging, he was attacking, he was on the hunt, and then suddenly he wasn't. He wound things back and kind of just cruised it into the finish. Fourth in the day and win for the series overall. I mean, it was cool, but also it just felt a bit weird. I saw his coach on the live feed in the middle of the track shouting at him, and the live commentators saw it too. I was certain that something was communicated to him and he adjusted his intensity to suit, and this is the story of the race for me. So I did the only thing that was sensible, and I told cameraman Ben to get back out into the rain and go ask the man himself.
Yeah, we had a bit of no regrets, but learning from last weekend in Andorra where I was pushing and we didn't have the infos and I just threw it away halfway down, so even more than halfway down. So I was a bit like, okay, if you boys are on the track and you need to tell me something, just tell me. And then he was telling me like, you're on a good one. So I just realized I didn't know exactly what it meant, but I just decided to ride a bit more safe. All the bottom section, I was a bit scared of throwing it away like last weekend, so I was a bit PTSD, you know, like trying to make it all the way down. It was super sketchy, especially the last rocks before the long ride to the jumps. It was like super like chunky and slippery, so made it through, pulled the triple. I was like, okay, just go all the way down and chill. And then when I crossed the finish line, I saw that I was fourth or something, and I was really happy because I knew Amaury crashed in the start gate. My mechanic told me, so I didn't know if it was enough for the overall, but I knew I would extend the gap. So I looked at my team manager and he was like, yeah, sick. And I was like, that's it. And he didn't tell me at the time. And I was like, okay, fuck, it's not over. And then I enjoyed a bit. And then when I went to the first interview, she told me I secured the overall. So I was so happy. And I think I'm a bit sad to not fight for the win today, but really happy that I did it smartly and made it happen. So.
That's so cool. I haven't heard of this kind of thing being put into practice in downhill race runs since Nico Voulios was winning everything back in the day. Back then the time gaps were big enough that mid-run changes in a rider's risk-taking and intensity wouldn't affect your finishing position in a big way. But these days, if you don't tuck your jersey properly, that can cost you 10 places. The confidence and refinement required to be able to plan to pass on data to a rider mid-run and for the rider to be able to take action on that data is just absolutely wild to me. If someone tried to pass on information to me mid-run, it would take me out of the moment and I'd lose focus and probably make a mistake. Also, just the act of backing off the intensity can cause you to lose focus and also make a mistake. Also, knowing you're on a good run and you don't need to push can also cause you to overthink things and mess up your riding. It takes a special team and rider to apply a tactic like this successfully, and it looks like Specialized Gravity and Loïc Bruni are the first to pull it off in recent memory. With that masterful execution, Loïc safely finished in fourth, and with the points he secured, he wins the overall championship. I'm excited to see if other teams try this and how successful the outcome might be. That is it for here in Loudenvielle. Big shout out to the kind and generous people that gifted me their time to help with results ingesting to pull data points for these videos. I've been too busy to thank them personally, and I've no doubt missed emails from them as I was getting help from a few different sources, but Will Bigloli jumped in with live support this week, which was just unreal, and it helped me to figure out some interesting facts fast enough to get it into this vid. Thank you, Will. And thanks to all of you for watching. It's been a hectic couple of weeks reporting at the races. We'll be scattering to our respective countries to recharge before sending it to French Canada for the final round. Also, this might be cameraman Ghosty Ben's final race, so please like the video if you appreciate everything he's done. I certainly will. Oh, and subscribe so you can join us in Canada. We'll see you there. We're gonna go karting. Fucking love karting. I'm not very good at it. Probably get beaten again. Then I'll cry, and everyone will laugh at me. Really, we should be working on, I'm really heavy, so they should weight everyone else's carts, because it's really unfair.